Hello, Dr. Amina here, and thank you for joining me today. We're going to talk about why we eat, and no, it's not just to fill our bellies. All right, so for those of you who don't know me, I'm Dr. Amina, and I help you break up with sugar and make up with health. Now, I remember, when I was much younger, I kind of used to think of eating just to fill. I just thought, okay, I needed to fill my stomach. I needed to fill full, and I did that by eating a lot of starchy foods, a lot of rice, lots of bread, potatoes, and so on and so forth. Because those are, like readily available, very easy to come by. And so I just felt, we eat a lot of those things and maybe not as much of the protein. And we would eat vegetables, but you really got a lot of bulk from starchy foods. And, I think even, commonly, I can see that a lot of us I felt like that, and I know a lot of people do feel like that now, where, okay, I need to fill my stomach. I don't need to have all that gurgling and all those, stomach pains, right? But truly, eating is not just to fill our stomachs and feel full, but it is to supply our body and the individual cells of our body with energy, right? So if we are only eating, starchy foods, which really would just be glucose, right? And that is not a sustainable form of energy. I mean, it gets metabolized pretty quickly, right? And then before you know it, in an hour, 2 hours, maybe 3 hours, you are hungry again. You are starving, right? So if we were to adjust the composition of our meals where we increase the amount of fat and protein and so on, then we would have a more sustainable form of energy, right, for our bodies, right? And just to give you an idea of how it's really not about the bulk, right? When we have patients, some patients in the hospital are not able to eat, they're not able to use their intestinal tract. So we have to feed them with nutrition in a drip, right? We call it total parenteral nutrition, or TPN, right? And we can't just give them sugar. We can't just give them sugar water or glucose or dextrose, right? Like they're gonna be starving if we only give them a drip with glucose, right? So the formulation for these people's nutrition in the vein includes fat, right? We say lipids. So there's this big bag of white sort of fat, right? In a liquid form. And then we have like another bag that has like nutrients and minerals, right? And some vitamins, sometimes depending. And then also a little bit of glucose, a little sugar, right? So when we give them this combination, which includes this nice bag of fat, they don't feel hungry. But if we just give them glucose, that quickly gets metabolized, stored, used up, etc., and they are starving. So that's like a good example for us to appreciate the fact that we can't just survive on starch alone, right? And so that is why we feel hungry all the time. Like when we have that feeling, a lot that used to be me, and I know a lot of people from that way, they eat and then in 2 hours they're starving again, and that is an indication that the diet has too much starch, right? And so that gets so rapidly metabolized. And so what you need to do is now review the composition, right? Include more vegetables. Of course you have some fiber there, and that helps with the bulk and filling the stomach, but you also want to not forget the fat content. Now you can get a little bit of fat from meat depending on the type of meat that you eat, right? And then you can also increase the amount of like fatty, I guess you can say fruits like olives and coconuts and and other fat sources, olive oil, butter, ghee, and so on and so forth. So don't shy away from including some amount of fat in your food to help you get that more concentrated form of energy, which is more sustaining compared to if you're getting most of your energy from glucose, right? So that was just a little analogy for you to remind you that we're not just trying to bulk up, and if we're bulking up and we might be choosing the maybe more affordable forms of bulk, which would be starch, then we're going to be shortchanging ourselves of the energy that we need to sustain our body, and not also forgetting the nutrients, because part of all the reactions that happen in our body and the cells of our body, they need these minerals and vitamins and various forms of nutrients as cofactors for these reactions to go on, right? And so if we're eating nutritionally depleted food, just refined food, processed food that really doesn't have these nutrients. And if they do, it's like added, so it's a kind of a more artificial manufactured form of nutrients, which is not as available to our bodies as if we get the nutrients and minerals and so on in the natural form, the form naturally occurring in the foods, right? So we have to bear that in mind when we are choosing our meals. And yeah, it's just a little short reminder post. And if you have any questions, you can let me know. If any of this resonated with you and you feel like, oh, that's why I'm hungry all the time, you know, then start paying, like literally not just eating automatically and choosing foods automatically because that's there, but start thinking, like being conscious about your food and conscious about how processed it is or how real, how wholesome it is, right? And I promise you that if you start focusing on getting food as close as possible to the form that it was in when it was either harvested or, I don't know, like meat butchered, you know, or whatever, right? Then you will feel as if you're more full, right? And for a longer time, you'll be more energized and you'll feel like you're not hungry. And I've had clients, one of the things some of my clients is that, oh my goodness, I'm not eating as much, I'm not hungry. And they start actually wondering, wait, is this abnormal? Like, why am I not eating? Why am I not wanting to eat? And then I have to explain to them that, no, it's not that you're, I don't know, subconsciously or unconsciously starving yourself. It's just because you're feeding your body with more nutritionally dense foods. You're improving or increasing the amount of healthy fats, and you're getting food with more minerals, more mineral and nutrient rich. And so your body is being fed what it needs much more now compared to before, when you were having mainly sugar and starch and less of these other wholesome things, right? So that is what's going on in your body, you know, microscopically. And I just wanted to make you all aware of that. And so again, thank you for watching, and let me know if you have any questions. And if you found this video helpful, just tag a friend or just share it to your circle of friends or contacts on social media. Have a great evening.